The moment I had been dragging finally came. My husband, who has caused me so much pain, moved his difficult mother into our house without even asking me. I've cried countless times and tried my best to be a good wife and homemaker, but he never cared about my efforts. One day, I asked, "Is your mama Saladin?" He casually replied, "Of course she is." But I had reached my limit. I said, "Well, I just finished moving back to my parents' house." He panicked over the phone, clearly not expecting this. I added, "Don't think this ends. Hooray, you owe me for all the pain you've caused. My name is Eleanor, and I'm 44. I met Raymond when I was 20, and we hit it off right away. Within 3 months, we started dating, and a year later, he proposed, we got married, and soon after, I became pregnant. I thought life would be like the fairy tales I dreamed of as a child. But it wasn't. Raymond always comes home from work and asks things like, "Is dinner ready? Did you make the bed?" It feels like he sees me as a maid, not his wife. When I'm overwhelmed, he complains, "Don't you realize how tired I am after work? I'm a manager, and I deal with so much stress." He wasn't like this when we first got married. Sometimes, people ask me how I tolerate his behavior. The truth is, I don't like it, but I appreciate that he provides for the family. I'm afraid to challenge him because he might stop helping financially. Raymond never lifts a finger around the house. He believes housework is my job because I'm a homemaker. Even though I'm busy all day with chores and taking care of our child, he complains about the smallest things, like when I didn't use the dryer. "I told you I like my clothes fluffy. Why can't you even do that?" he snapped. To make things worse, his mother is even more critical. She constantly nitpicks everything I do. "Eleanor, clean the house properly. Cook something decent for my son, not takeout. This is why I didn't want him to marry you," she scolds. But what really pushes me over the edge is her gambling habit. She's addicted to poker, slot machines, and roulette. She spends all her free time gambling and then acts like she's above me. After years of dealing with both of them, I finally had enough. My mother-in-law has a serious gambling problem. She spends money recklessly. And the worst part, she laughs about it. And Raymond laughs along with her. But wait, whose money does she think she's using? It's from our household savings. I've tried talking to Raymond about it, but he always has an excuse. "Could you talk to Mom? I'm so busy with work, and she'd be really upset if I said something," he says, avoiding the problem. So I finally spoke to her myself. When I brought it up, she snapped, "Why can't a mother use her son's money?" He told me I can't use as much as I want. Thinking Raymond would support me, I told her, "Raymond feels the same. Could you please stop using our savings without asking?" Raymond turned on me. "What are you talking about? The savings are for all 3 of us." "Sorry, ma'am. Don't listen to her. Use the money like always," he said. I couldn't believe it. He always changes his story depending on who he's talking to. Worse, he started blaming me for his mom's gambling habit, saying it got worse after we got married. That's not true. She's been gambling since before we were married. I've even seen her leaving the local poker club. When I bring it up, Raymond calls me a liar and ignores the problem. He refuses to see his mother's flaws, and it's exhausting. One day, while leaving for work, Raymond casually said, "Ma'am, don't forget about the preparations." Curious, I asked what they were planning, but they both avoided answering. A week later, I understood. As usual, Raymond left for work without responding to my goodbye. Looking out the window, I saw a happy family walking by, and it reminded me of when I used to take my son out for walks. Lost in thought, I was startled by the doorbell. It was my mother-in-law. "Where's Raymond?" she asked. I explained he had to leave for work unexpectedly. "Why are you just standing there?" she snapped. "Get things ready. I haven't eaten all morning, and I'm hungry. Don't let this happen again." Her tone and the way she said, "From now on," gave me a sinking feeling. Raymond's earlier mention of preparations now made sense. Feeling uneasy but too anxious to argue, I apologized and started making her breakfast. While I was busy making breakfast, my mother-in-law stared at me the entire time, not even blinking. It felt more like she was watching my every move than simply observing. Under her intense gaze, I silently prepared the meal as quickly as I could. Suddenly, she sneered, "Is this what my son eats every day? It looks awful, and I bet it tastes just as bad. How can anyone be such a terrible cook?" She laughed mockingly and kept complaining. Hearing such harsh words, first thing in the morning felt like a storm ruining what could have been a peaceful day. I tried to stay calm and finish cooking. "Finally, took you long enough," she snapped as I served the food. "You should take a cooking class, maybe then your meals wouldn't be so pathetic. Although, I doubt you'd ever get more than a passing grade." I sat her day at the table with her for the first time and immediately lost my appetite. Her constant glares and criticism made the food taste like nothing. After a few bites, she dropped her fork and declared, "I can't eat this, take it away." I felt like I was at my breaking point but kept quiet, wishing she'd leave soon. Then the phone rang. It was Raymond. "Mum's there." "Right, let me talk to her," he said. When I handed her the phone, she looked annoyed. "You said we'd talk about this today, and now you're at work. What's going on?" she demanded. Raymond apologized, saying he'd be back before noon and told her to relax until then. She ended the call with a huff and tossed the phone back at me. 3 hours later, Raymond came home and dropped a bombshell. "Mum's moving in with us," he announced casually. I was stunned. I had always imagined it would be just the two of us living here. The thought of my mother-in-law living with us was terrifying. "Don't worry, ma'am. I'll help you move your things on my next day off," Raymond said. She added, "Don't bring her along. She's useless." "Of course, ma'am. It'll just be me," Raymond assured her. I couldn't believe what was happening. That evening, Raymond and his mother went out for dinner together, leaving me alone to think about our future. How was I supposed to live with the two of them constantly belittling me? Could I endure this, or was there another way out? I kept asking myself the same questions but couldn't find any answers. As tears rolled down my cheeks, the phone suddenly rang. Quickly wiping them away, I answered, and to my surprise, it was a call from someone I hadn't expected. "Ma'am, it's been a while," a familiar voice said. "Eric," I exclaimed, "it has been a while. How are you?" "I'm good. Granddad and Granny are doing well too. We're all getting along." It was my son, Eric. After graduating college, he got a job near my parents' house and decided to live with them instead of with us. "When are you coming to visit? It's been years since you last came. Granddad and Granny really want to see you," Eric said. I hesitated. "I'm sorry, Eric. I've been so busy. I just couldn't make it." "Busy with what? Or is it because of Dad and Grandma?" Eric asked bluntly. He was right. The reason I hadn't visited was because of Raymond and his mother. Raymond didn't like me going to visit my family. To him, I was just a housekeeper, expected to stay home and take care of the house and his mother. She felt the same way, constantly treating me as if I were her personal maid. I felt trapped in this house, like a bird in a cage. Eric knew how I was being treated. He had visited once and witnessed their cruelty firsthand. "A homemaker who can't even do chores properly is useless," Raymond had said back then. His mother added, "You should be grateful we even need you here." "I thought so," Eric said, his voice filled with concern. "I'm sorry you're going through this, ma'am. Listen, I have an idea to help you." Eric's suggestion was something I had never considered before. "Really? Are you serious?" I asked, shocked. "Of course, it's time you got out of this," he replied firmly. His words gave me hope, a way out of the nightmare I was living. The next day, while Raymond was at work, I began secretly putting Eric's plan into action. I was careful, always watching out for my mother-in-law, who could appear unexpectedly. There were close calls. "Have you been up to something lately?" Raymond asked one day. "Mom said you've been acting weird. You're not cheating on me, are you?" His ridiculous accusation saved me that time, but I knew I had to stay vigilant. My mother-in-law was sharp, and I couldn't afford to let my guard down. Still, I realized Raymond didn't truly care about me. In a way, that made things easier. I couldn't wait to see how they would react when my plan unfolded. A few days later, Eric called again. "Man, how's everything going? Are you ready?" "Yes," I replied. "I've made a lot of progress. Now we just wait for the right day." "Either way, do you know when Grandma is moving in?" Eric asked. "She's moving in the day after tomorrow," I said, my voice steady. I was ready for what was coming next. I overheard them chatting happily about their plans, and I knew I had to make them pay for everything they'd done to me. The moment I'd been waiting for was finally approaching. On the morning my mother-in-law was supposed to move in, Raymond gave me his usual orders. "Don't slack off just because I'm not here. Help Mom with her luggage when she arrives and make sure the house is spotless. Mom said she won't tolerate even a speck of dust." "I understand," I replied calmly. After Raymond left, I got to work on my final preparations. Soon, the doorbell rang. "Good morning, ma'am. Eric, can you help me out?" I asked. "Of course, let's get it done quickly before Grandmother gets here," Eric replied. With Eric's help, everything was ready in 30 minutes. "All set, let's go," I said, hopping into Eric's car. We drove off to a place I had carefully planned to visit. On the way, I made a phone call. "Hello, the moment has arrived," I said. For years, Raymond and his mother had tormented me. I had cried countless tears and endured so much pain. I tried my hardest to be a good homemaker, but Raymond never cared about my efforts. To make things worse, he decided to move his mother into our home without even consulting me. Later that day, Raymond called. "Is Mom all settled in?" he asked. "Yes, she's settled in," I replied, then added, "But guess what? I've just finished moving back to my parents' home." "What? Back to your parents?" Raymond's panic was clear even over the phone. But that wasn't all. I delivered the final blow. "Today is the day we get divorced. The divorce papers are already filled out with your name. They're on the table. All you need to do is sign them and take them to the courthouse. I've even arranged for a lawyer to go with you to make sure everything is done properly. The lawyer will also handle the division of our assets." Raymond, completely shocked, stammered, "Wait, what are you talking about? Divorce? Are you kidding me?" "No, Raymond, I'm serious, and no matter what you say, it won't change my mind." "Oh, either way," I said to Raymond, "there isn't a single cent left in our savings." "What? That can't be true. I've been contributing every month," he replied, stunned. "Yes, but your dear mother gambled it all away. We have nothing left," I explained calmly. "I suggest you and your mother figure it out. Good luck." Right after I ended the call, his mother showed up at the house, arms full of bags, ringing the doorbell like crazy. I didn't answer. Furious, she started yelling, "Hey, open up. How long are you going to keep me waiting out here? Open the damn door, you wretched woman." Her shouting and swearing at the front door attracted the attention of a passerby, who thought she was causing trouble and called the police. Within minutes, officers arrived and took her away. About 30 minutes later, a distraught Raymond, unable to concentrate at work after hearing the news, rushed home, but I was gone. The only thing waiting for him was the divorce papers on the table. He stood there in silence before sitting down, completely devastated. 2 hours later, the lawyer arrived and escorted a heartbroken Raymond to the courthouse to submit the papers. At last, our divorce was finalized. The next day, after being released from police custody, Raymond's mother returned home. She found her son still in shock over the divorce. Although Raymond had planned to live with her, he was so overwhelmed by everything that he took a leave of absence from work. A month later, he quit his job entirely. With no income, they had to sell the new house they just built. The money from the sale helped them scrape by, but his mother's gambling quickly drained it. Eventually, they had nothing left. Rumors began to spread that they were now living like homeless people in a nearby park. As for me, I moved back to my parents' house and started living peacefully. The money from the house sale came to me as well. One day, I stood on the balcony of a beautiful resort hotel, enjoying the view. "This place is amazing," I said. "It's one of the most popular resorts these days," someone replied. I smiled. finally free from the nightmare I had endured for so long. I could live my life on my own terms. The joy I felt was unlike anything I had ever experienced.